Blah blah oh. Blah blah oh. Greetings, my beautiful audience. Welcome back to another episode of Pop Talk. I'm your host, Cody MacDonald, and look who I have here, Evan Mead. How are you?
I am great. They can't see me, but hi. You can't see me, but I'm doing great. Like it's
Dude, we've been chatting for the past 2.5 hours before even recording this.
Like, yeah, just about life and shit.
Everything. We've been bouncing around everything.
Yeah,
really. This has been nice.
And you know what? I realized the last time we did a one-on-one podcast, we weren't in the same room, but it was the same time of year, and we also had a crazy heat wave when you and I talked about Mulan.
Oh, was that
It was
right?
a crazy heat. It was the hottest day of 2021, and we're in the middle of another fucking heat wave in
Dude, it's bad.
In the summer of 2022.
It's bad everywhere.
You're telling me you don't gel with the heat.
I don't.
Yeah.
Dude, well, I was just talking to Veronica, where I'm like, hey, I told you this already, but just for the recording, it's like, when we're talking about, like, after the wedding, what's our honeymoon going to be like, I said, let's go to Yellowknife. The Yukon sounds beautiful, because, like, who the fuck cares about going to fucking Florida right now? Because right now it's as hot as Florida.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I'd rather see the Northern Lights. I'd rather bundle up in a little cottage.
You had better play King and Lionheart when that happens.
Oh, dude, I'm already a steps ahead of you. Like, dude.
I don't have to tell you that.
Oh, our tender, like, indie stuff is going to be our background for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude. My back sweats the most out of my whole body. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't sweat on my head that much.
Yeah.
I don't sweat out of my armpits that much. It's my back that literally feels like I dipped it in water and it's just permanently just wet.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad out there. But the UK is even worse.
Oh yeah. I'm making the sign. You can't see this. I'm making the sign of the cross. Like,
especially because they're not prepared.
Because they're an island in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, which is one of the coolest oceanic climates in the world.
Yeah.
They get rain there year round. It's typically muggy, rainy weather. They're not used to desert Arizona style heat waves.
I was just talking to Jess like right before it started to make like news, like holy shit, it's extremely hot there. Like she was even making some quick comment of like, it's hot, like it like I can tell, like little blush in the face almost, like
oh yeah,
kind of like it was weird. And she was just kind of celebrating living in a new apartment with her boyfriend.
Oh,
and she was she still looks hot.
Mate, in the UK they call them flats.
Sorry, flats. Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, but that's a good funny thing. So it's almost poetic for us to get together.
And by the way, I didn't mean to be a bully. Talking about flats, like Flats the Flounder.
I like to kick people's butts.
Hey, Cody, your story really speaks to me.
Oh, really? What does it mean to you?
It means now I'm gonna kick your butt twice as hard.
I have diarrhea.
Oh god.
No, but you're right. It's almost poetic for us to both get together one-on-one and just, in the middle of a heat wave, we can chat about just whatever. But I wanted to bring you on because I got a lot of stuff to talk about, seeing how we're in the middle of a summer right now. And actually, upon this recording, like we still are in the middle of the summer, but when this is released, it's on Labor Day.
Which means...
And what comes after Labor Day?
I was trying to do like the school bell, like
school. Yeah, dude. I feel like I'm so nostalgic about just anything, but I mean, when is there not a perfect opportunity to bring up like a topic of nostalgia than to reflect on your school days? And out of the times that I've known you, you kind of bring up a lot of stuff from like your past, and like it's stuff I kind of want to, let's shine some light on it a bit, like.
Sure.
Let's go all the way back to just both grade school and high school, and we can maybe touch on post a little bit, but I mean, you and I went to the same school, and we already chatted about that shit already.
Same school, different times.
Same school, different times.
And if you want to hear more about that, go listen to my podcast, so to speak, where in our home video episodes.
That's right, yeah, that's right. We kind of go into detail about that.
Plug in. Okay, go on.
So, no, I was wondering, for grade school, going all the way back, because you're only a year older than me.
Indeed, I am.
From JK to grade 8, were you at the same grade school?
Yep.
What was it called?
It was called I love you, Josh. Pleasantville Public School.
Pleasantville Public School.
You actually okay? When we were on our way to Josh's bachelor party, you actually saw it.
That's right. Yeah.
We drove past it on the way, and oh man, and okay, our listeners know that Josh recently got married, and I was the best man at his wedding, but what I haven't talked about is there aren't many. I didn't have like any crazy like demands of him as a best man. Like there wasn't like anything I like wanted to do or needed to do. Like anything he would ask me to do, I would do. I wound up doing a lot more than was initially planned as the wedding grew closer. But the one thing I asked of him that I hoped we could do and we did do was I said, on either the last day before your wedding or as close to the date as possible, schedule permitting, I'd like to go back to Pleasantville, the old schoolyard where we met in senior kindergarten. No, SK to grade 8.
SK to grade 8, yeah.
Is where I went to
I don't think, it's more of a states thing. The middle school and the junior high terms are kind of like more popular.
I will say this though, but before I want to continue my story. So I asked, because I met Josh in 1997 when we were, we were in
5 years old, yeah.
And that's 25 years. He's my oldest friend. I've known him for most of my life. So I asked him, let's go back to the old schoolyard that we spent 9 years of our lives on, just bonding, talking, and just discussing everything about life, literature, movies, pop culture, you name it. Like, let's go there. Let's honor the past, talk about the present, and manifest a new future. Because you're getting married. Like,
it's amazing, yeah.
So
nice touch. So
it's a sacred conversation that we had, and I ended it by, I remembered exactly what time it was, what day it was, and what I said. At 4:43 p.m., right when Marnie came to pick us up to drive us to the rehearsal.
So precise. Oh my
God. At 4:43 p.m., when our conversation was officially done, I looked him in the eye and I gave him my official best man blessing for his marriage.
Amazing.
Because it's like, I know you are ready. Go get married.
Love it. Love it. So that place holds a really big, deep place in your heart.
It does. Now that I realize, like, as I look back on the tapestry of my life, and because where I live nowhere near Pleasantville. Like, if I want to go back there, it's not a walk around the block. I have to make a trip there. Sure. I am at that phase in my life where I have to travel to go back to my roots.
Sure. So, yeah. And especially you kind of look at it as that you technically, if you look at the whole grand scheme of things of both like grade school and high school, you spent more time at your grade school if you had not moved. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you remained like yourself in the same place, you were there more than you were in high school. So of course you're going to have more like sentimental values behind it. And like, and also it's something I want to ask if you share the same thing. Can you name every single teacher that you had from JK to grade 8? Because you spent more time with them individually. You got to know them more. And dude, in high school, to know the order of like, oh, what were my teachers in the first semester of grade 9 compared to in the second semester of grade 11? I'd be like, I don't know. Like
that's interesting because
can you name every single one?
I can name my
JK to grade 8.
JK to grade 8.
Tell me.
I cannot. Okay, JK to grade 8. I can name all my teachers, and if you press me for high school, I could probably try the same thing.
Well, you're obviously gonna have, because again, there's way more people, and you forget the order, and it's just in 4 years a lot happens, of like shuffling between classes. But there's something very like you spend like 10 months.
Oh, actually, wait, no, I can't.
In 1 year, you spend 10 months every day with somebody, like, that's teaching you about shit. And whether or not you like him or not, like...
Or her.
Him or her. Yeah, actually, I'll go through my list, but, like, it was mostly women. And I hold that, like, very, like, value to have those opinions. Like, it's...
by the way, I just realized that, oh shit, I can't, there is one teacher that I forget. I was going over in my head while you were talking just now while listening to you. I was thinking, so who, I'm trying to think, who did I go to? Who are my high school teachers? There's one teacher that I have forgotten the name of. I have unfortunately forgotten the name of my grade 10 civics teacher. So I'm truly sorry.
Well, I hold it against you. What the fuck are you talking about? No, tell me. Grade JK, SK... grade 1 all the way to 8. Tell me. So as many as you can tell.
So for SK, Mrs. Grandinetti, and grade 1, Mrs. Friedman, grade 2, Ms. Vigneault, grade 3, Mr. Mewson, grade 4, Ms. Garland, grade 5, Ms. Hiltz, grade 6, Mrs. Gertzbane, grade 7, Miss Robson, and grade 8, Mr. Teitelbaum.
Teitelbaum.
Yeah.
I thought you made that up. To be
No,
honest.
I am. Oh my god!
I know, that's so funny.
Okay.
A Teitelbaum. I felt like a term. It was like what? That's not a
No,
name.
honestly, as soon as I heard his name, because when I was in grade 1, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time had come out, and within 4 months, I watched Peter Pan, Disney's Peter Pan, and I played Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And both those pieces of media not only involve a green kid who runs around and listens to a fairy, but both of those games involve bombs.
Right.
Peter Pan, Hook drops the bomb into his hideout, remember?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then in the game you have bombs.
Right.
That you use to blow things up. So when I heard the name Teitelbaum, I was like,
You're like, what the fuck?
yeah. No, and honestly, like,
Who is JK?
JK was
You
okay.
can't
Oh
remember?
my.
Can you
So here's.
remember? Yeah,
you're right.
You started from SK. Do you remember JK?
This is gonna sound a little bizarre, and I can't believe I've never told. This is a first that I've never told you in the 2 years that I've known you. For junior kindergarten, I went to a private school called Toronto Waldorf School. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
No.
It was, now that I look back on it, it was a religious school, not like a crazy religious school, but just they taught the kids how to be in nature, how to craft things with your hands. There was a whole wood shop that the older kids could go to.
Interesting. So wait, was Pleasantville a Catholic grade school?
No, Pleasantville is
public.
public.
Okay.
Yeah, this school is just called Toronto Waldorf.
Interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I figured you have to start from JK all the way to grade 8.
But JK is, and my teacher, believe it or not, they never referred to the teacher. I don't recall them referring to the teachers by their last names. I was just told that my teacher's name was Kate. And
you're referring to them by the first name.
It was so weird. It was so weird. I don't even remember why. You're talking beyond 25 years ago.
Oh, jeez. This is like repressed stuff.
No,
I'm kidding.
It wasn't that type of religious school.
I'm totally kidding. Yeah.
It wasn't that type of religious school.
Yeah.
But I just remember the teacher was very kind, and I had a friend named Sammy, and we had some interesting like nature walks. They were seriously like really cool things to see.
Interesting. All right.
So
I got all of them for you.
Yeah.
JK, Miss Toto, like the band.
Does she bless the rains down in Africa?
Of course she does. It's gonna take me a lot to drag me away from her.
Oh.
SK was Miss Wassel. But as a kid, because, you're starting to talk more...
Let me guess.
I think it was Miss Woosel, but I was pronouncing it Wassel. I can't confirm or deny that. I don't know.
Woosel Wassel?
The Heffalumps. Grade 1. Miss Heffalump. No, I'm joking.
Oh.
Grade 1 is Miss Ducharme.
Ducharme.
Miss Pro... Oh, it's another situation where I think I pronounced it wrong. In grade 2 is Miss Project or Miss Project. I can't remember. Miss Coolin was grade 3.
Yeah.
Grade 4 was Mr. Nadalin, first male teacher. Yeah. And then when I moved grade school, that was St. Alexander. That was in school. That was in Windsor.
Okay, cool.
That was like a few blocks away from my Nana's place. It was great because my Nana and Papa lived in like the same like home.
Yeah.
So when I moved, I went to St. John the Baptist in Bell River, right? Yeah. And from grade 5 to 8, it was Mr. Pellerin. Grade 6 was Miss.
For some reason, when I heard that name, I thought of Palpatine.
Pellerin, yeah.
Palpatine.
Mr. Palpatine. Grade 6 was Miss Hall. Grade 7 was Miss MacDonald, not MacDonald.
Did you guys ever have like some camaraderie?
We probably thought it was kind of funny. They're similar. Yeah. And then in grade 8, it was a split class for some reason. We had like double students, so we went from Mr. Griffor to Miss Pulo.
Okay.
I think she got married afterwards and she changed her name, but yeah, that's everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me ask you something. Did you have your favorite teacher or your most hated teacher during your grade school times?
Okay. Surprisingly,
What are some noteworthy things
Okay.
about certain ones that you
Okay.
come to mind? Like
Okay. I didn't have
good
one...
things or bad
Okay.
things?
I didn't have one that I would consider the most, but I hated it when teachers yelled. Like,
Oh, dude.
I hate yelling.
Hey, high five. You and I hate confrontation, and it was just scary.
I don't like confrontations.
It was just really scary, you know? Like, I mean, it's one thing to, like, get, like, you know, discipline, like, as a kid. Like,
Yeah.
you think, okay, there's one thing to get, like, you know, discipline or, like, you know, the values of growing up and being taught, you know,
Yeah.
like, how to be mature, like, through your parents at home where they can be kind of strict sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all the way strict, but there's something really weird and surreal growing up when, like, your
Yeah.
teachers, at first, their impression is that they're nice, they're going to teach everything.
Yeah.
When they got really pissed back then, you, like, were like, because you and I were probably good guys, like, we didn't, like, fuck around with the teachers, whatever, intentionally.
No,
But
I didn't.
When we hear
my best friend...
when we hear other students fucking around with them,
Oh, yeah.
and they lose their temper, on the whole class.
Yep.
You all get detention because this one student has been fucking around
And
with
then
me.
you hate that kid.
You hate
for
that
the rest-
kid, and you kind of almost hate the teacher to a certain extent. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so to answer your question, I didn't have a most hated teacher. I didn't hate any of my teachers, but I did. The one that intimidated, which is there are ones that Ms. Friedman and Ms. Hiltz, grade 1 and 5. They didn't. Their patience could run out easily. Miss Hiltz especially. Eventually, like Miss Hiltz was giving class detention. Miss Hiltz believed in collective punishment.
Yeah.
Like going back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Even though she would publicly out like the kids that annoyed her the most, if our whole class in 5th grade was just genuinely rowdy and very talkative.
Oh yeah. The older it is,
I feel
find
like it was a
worse
problem.
gets.
92 and 93. Okay, this is going to take a bit of a darker turn than I anticipated for this conversation, but I feel like if we just get out of the way. So, one of the worst memories I ever... So, going back... So, Miss Hiltz...
Oh, dude.
Miss Hiltz and Mrs.
I
Friedman.
have a bad memory, and I have a candid, like...
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like I want to get into, like, some shit that, like, teachers did with me back then.
Oh.
Or not with me. Dude, this is going to
Shoot.
sound wrong. No, dude. It's not what you think it is.
All right, full
This
disclosure, we don't, like... We would never mock a story like that.
No,
Like,
no.
that's very real.
No, that's very real. I'm talking more about just, like, you know, kind of, like, extreme arrogance and almost, like, assault-ish.
Oh, God,
But go on. I want you to go into what you're talking about.
So,
Yeah.
Miss Freeman and Miss Hiltz yelled a lot, and but this is the thing. I'll tell you this. So, I believe you heard this story. Well, now the whole world gets to hear it, but I believe I told you this story with Josh when we were at his birthday party, because Josh and I went to the same elementary school.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
When I
refresh
was
me.
when I was in grade 7, one of our so you know how, like, in elementary school, when you have your homeroom teacher and then you have your other teachers that you exchange classes with throughout the day.
That's right.
Not exactly like high school, where in high school you have a different teacher for every
Well,
subject.
let me ask you, did you have, like, you know, a French teacher to teach you French?
Yes.
You had a music teacher?
Yep.
You had, you know, like, little things like
So,
that? Yeah.
in grade 7, our health class was taught by, I am not kidding, Ms. Wang.
Right.
And something that made you laugh was...
Wang.
Shut up, Quagmire.
No, it's Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis. Oh, okay, you sound like Quagmire, but I just realized, Family Guy's not the only... Family Guy is not a comedic epitaph. Like, there are other...
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then you did... I'm like, oh, Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. So, sorry, Miss Wang.
So Miss Wang, there was Miss Wang taught us health once every Friday. However, Miss Wang was also a gym teacher and a sports coach at our school, which means every time, like, our school was actually, like, good at the regional championships, so every time a team had to go away to a tournament or off-site, Miss Wang would go.
Yeah.
And which happened a lot that year. And unfortunately, when that happens, that happened 3 times that I can remember. But the third time it happened, oh God. So basically, in the fall of 2000,
I'm really drawn into the my beautiful audience. I'm really drawn into this. I want to know where this is going.
In the spring, okay, so the third, okay, so 3 times Miss Wang would go to a tournament, and we would get a supply teacher or a substitute teacher. Now it was not like Dustin Hoffman in The Simpsons where it's the whole
a shot in the dark it is with a substitute teacher. It's either they're there because they don't give a fuck and they leave no impression, or
Mr. Bergman,
or they're actually fucking great teachers.
They're better teacher than the teacher.
Way better than the teacher. Yeah, sorry, I know it's a whole conversation we won't get on that but it's something I want to bring
unfortunately,
up. But go ahead. Yeah,
the vast majority of substitute teachers were not Mr. Bergman from The Simpsons.
No. But go on.
So we had to
keep going. Going. Yeah.
The 3 times we had a substitute teacher, we had this cranky lady who had a thick Eastern English, Western England accent.
Yep.
And the class. Okay, in the early grades, through kindergarten to grade, I think 4 or 5 is where. Up from kindergarten to grade 4, we are nice to the substitutes. They are nice to us, we're nice to them. At some point around grade 5 and on, we treat the substitutes like shit.
Yeah, there were classes where I wasn't involved with it. Totally, never was involved with it. But it almost felt like the impression was not just one person, the entire class is shitting on this substitute.
Yeah,
and I was never
doing
that. They're only here just very temporarily. Why are we treating them like this? But then there's some that don't give a shit. That looking back, that it's like, wait, was that the reason why? I don't know.
So I'll tell you a couple stories. So in two times throughout elementary school, we have a female teacher who's pregnant, and what happens when their baby comes? Maternity leave, which means they are out for half the school year, if not longer.
It's interesting. That never happened with any of my
your
teachers
never took maternity leave?
Never. None. No.
I think it was you might want to check your school board on that, because maybe they didn't give paid maternity leave, which would be shit.
During 1 year when I had them for that 10 months, they never left. Never.
But they left to go.
But granted, there was a few much older teachers that I had at the time. They're probably not going to have kids or anything like that.
Well, anyways,
I only had 3 teachers that looked like they were young enough. I can see them probably going to be a mom eventually. But that's it.
There were 2 teachers the 2 French teachers at some point or another at my school both had babies, and that meant we got stuck with a permanent substitute. And the permanent substitute, it was grade 5 onward, the permanent substitute got the shit end of the stick.
Yeah.
It was so bad. And so going back to my story about health class in grade 7 with Miss Wang. So the first time we're dumped with a substitute, we treat the substitute like shit. The substitute made at the end of the class, we got some work done, but ultimately the substitute was fed up because we talked too much and we didn't. And so she orders us all to put our heads down. She screams at us, "You will all write a letter of apology, and your letters are going down to the office. They will be read by the principal herself." And it was meant to scare us. And so I just wrote, "I am sorry for the actions of my friends," because I, like you and me, I'm not taking fucking responsibility for the rowdy kids. I just said, "I'm sorry my friends were so noisy. I was just trying to learn. Thank you," and sent it. I don't know what the other kids said. We didn't talk about much after that. But then one time, so some point later in the year, we have another substitute. That teacher could not get a word in edgewise, and on that particular day, Josh and I had what's called an educational assistant. When you're special needs or on the spectrum, or just, so if you've got an independent learning program that's different from the rest of the kids like I did, you're still going to go to class with them, but you're going to learn differently. So my educational assistant was not my second teacher, but they're not teachers, but what they do is they shadow the teacher. They relay the teacher's instructions back to you. They explain things that maybe you didn't get the second time around. And yeah, I had some great... My educational assistants, I remember all of them too. Miss Hughes from kindergarten to grade 1. Miss Scott. Oh God, Miss Scott. Miss Scott from grade 1 to grade 4. Miss Olivo from grade 5 to grade 6, and then from grade 6 to grade 8 was Miss Naylor.
Yeah, you always end off with a name that I'm like, oh God, like you know, name drop.
Yeah.
Or Nailer. This sounds like a joke. Like that's the punchline.
Yeah.
Every time you say the last teacher.
Oh, I remember when I told you this story for the first time, when I said my educational assistant Miss Naylor. The second time we had Miss Wang was unavailable, so my educational assistant Miss Naylor.
You know what? Now I'm remembering from that party we were laughing about those names. That's right.
No, they were
right,
all
yeah.
the guys who didn't go to school with us were laughing their heads off. Yeah. It's like, so you had a teacher named Miss Wang, and your educational assistant was Miss Naylor. So
these teachers you almost found like they're memorable for great reasons.
Yeah, no, Miss Wang actually was a great gym teacher, and she was a really like compassionate.
But sometimes you saw like a really strict side of her.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, but Miss Wang was great.
Okay.
But so this is the thing. On the one day Miss Wang wasn't there, Miss Naylor basically said, "Yeah, Evan, you're not going to learn anything today. Let's just go for a walk out in the hall until this blows over." And then Miss Naylor, you know, just helped me escape from the classroom that day. It's like, yeah, thank you. I thank her for a lot of reasons, but the third time our class was shit to a substitute. Miss Naylor had to go somewhere else. She wasn't there to save me. I made that sound so dramatic, but she wasn't there to like say, yeah, just we're not going to learn anything. Leave. Yeah. That day, in April of 2005, it was a rainy day, and I think a little snowy too. The class was so rowdy to the substitute that substitute cried.
Oh.
The principal was furious.
Yeah.
Okay. At that point in our school year,
when you have a class
detention
assembly,
okay. At that point in our school year, the principal had been called in to talk to us for 3 previous times.
Damn.
2 previous times for being obnoxious to a substitute.
Damn.
And it never clicked with these kids. And the third time, like this principal is furious. The other 2 times the principal didn't scream. This time she did.
Oh.
She opens the discussion before she starts screaming.
You feel like the fear in your head and your stomach.
Yeah.
Kind of like
one of the kids, the principal does. She turns off the lights. It's all dark. Orders every kid to put their head down. Get this. So she like Darth Vader, like stalking the halls of the Rebel blockade runner in A New Hope. She's like prowling through the classroom, daring anyone to make a move. And this one kid was tapping a ruler with his on the desk. I could just barely hear it. But as soon as I hear that noise, immediately I hear the principal whipped the ruler out of his hand and snapped it against the table.
Holy shit.
And it's like, okay, we're in trouble. And those minutes felt like an eternity, but what felt like 5 minutes later, she opens her mouth and says, "In the 16 years of being a principal, I have never seen a class this disgusting." I'm like, and then the screaming came, "How dare you leave a teacher in tears? How dare you!" And if I'm making her sound like Palpatine, that's because she was like Palpatine. Like, imagine female Darth Sidious.
That's funny.
Like, no, that's literally female Darth Sidious.
That sounds really scary.
And no,
especially since like you're like, well, wasn't really a part of this.
Yeah, and guess
also,
what?
And also, this is like kind of like scary. Like,
yeah,
I get it. Like we made them cry, but like.
Yeah,
that's the thing is that they don't psych out whoever is not a part of this whole thing.
This is where it got interesting. Despite her screaming, she said, "We know that it's not all of you, but still, I'm screaming at all of you. But we know it's a select few of you." She said, I want you to write a letter of apology, and I want names of who is causing this behavior.
Interesting.
So
it's like, almost like an anonymous like voting out people.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Wow.
Our class didn't give a fuck about. I was traumatized by that, and also I remember that was the last thing I needed that day, because at that time my mom was away on a business trip and I was spending like that weekend with my dad. Now at that point in my life, mom goes on business trip, and dad's looking after us like at like full time, like Incredibles 2 style.
Yeah.
It at that time it was a little stressful. Not to knock my dad. I mean, I kind of got, but it's like, you know, I miss my mom. I want her to come back, and that was a particularly long business trip, I think. So it was like, yeah, like I miss her still, and I want her to come home. So last fucking thing I need, and the principal was going on about how every single one of our parents would be getting a phone call. Now, if my mom, because my parents were separated, if my mom ever got a call from the principal saying that I was in a class that was being rowdy, she would know, like, I know Evan wouldn't be that way.
Exactly.
My dad, on the other hand, wouldn't care. Like, he would assume that I was causing trouble, and he'd yell at me for it too.
Interesting.
No, okay. My mom, if I ever brought like home marks on like a test or something that wasn't so good, my mom would talk to me about what I could do better next time. If it was a weekend at my dad's house and I happened to bring a test home to him that I didn't do so well, he'd actually yell at me and my brother for it. Yeah.
Wow.
So, because it's like, yeah, like two completely different home styles, sorta. So I was worried. I was scared to death that the principal was going to call my dad, and on top of me feeling like, you know, kind of miserable, that I'm going to get yelled at by the principal and my dad. So thankfully, the principal didn't call anyone that day. We just did the letter, and then. But here's the thing. When we went back to our homeroom later that day, like, our teacher, Miss Robson, was actually, like, she said, guys, how could you? She didn't yell at us because she knew we'd been yelled at enough, but it's like, how could you guys? Like, she almost cried herself. I'm like, how dare you guys? Like, I'm so ashamed for you. Like, that's so horrible. I never want to hear that again.
Oh, jeez.
It's like, I never want to hear you. Our class didn't give a fuck. Within a week, they were mocking the principal.
Okay.
And they were.
What grade was this again?
This was grade 7. We were on the transitioning from
puberty just at its fucking
it did.
Hormones, everything at its absolute peak.
Yeah.
And just you're so heightened with either like any kind of emotions, and in this case, a lot of kids in that class, it sounds like they had a lot of like negative emotions.
Yeah, but I honestly thought but I hated the way we always got singled out as the worst class ever.
Totally.
Like it's like. Do they do that to every class that's disruptive, or is it feel like was there something about 90s kids going into the 2000s where like the kids just gave less and less of a fuck as the generations went on?
I'll get into that, and this is the thing I was alluding to with
okay,
me.
Great.
Where first of all, I at least want to say the positives about.
Of course,
the positives. Like I had 3 teachers, in fact. Miss Coolin from grade 3. She was the first teacher that I had at that time to be like, I really like you and your personality about how you're approaching your profession as a teacher, because like you're trying to keep things light, but also you seem like you really enjoy what you do, and you're trying to like help us understand everything at like our level, but like you're not talking down on us, and it's not like just a job to you, and like you kept everything light and kind of good. You were very patient. Same can be said about Miss MacDonald, actually, in grade 7.
Nice.
And Mr. Pellerin, grade 5. Funny enough, this is the first grade school that I went to, like when I moved, when my mom met Steve and all that. And funny enough, at the first parent-teacher interview, because I went to the same grade school as my dad, Mr. Pellerin went, Steve, I recognize you from when I taught you when you were a kid. Like, he recognized my dad.
Oh!
Like, because he taught my dad. And, that's
that's kind of cool.
My teacher, Mr. Pellerin, was kind of just saying stuff like, like, Cody, like, he has kind of like is he like dyslexic or something? Like, it was kind of a hunch that he had, like just about like any kind of
well, at least he was tactful about it.
Is there something there? Like, I still notice his grammar's a bit. So I have like undiagnosed, like kind of like possibly like mild dyslexia. Like, I get like, words mixed up a lot. As you hear me even on like So to Speak, sometimes you tend to know that like I mix up names a lot. Or sometimes I don't even know the name. But
on
that's
behalf of Lyle and myself,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if we ever go too far taking the piss out of you for that.
Oh,
Like,
totally. I love it.
Oh, okay.
Because I find it so funny because I imagine in my head like the way I reverse it. That's
Yeah.
how I kind of cope with it almost.
Yeah.
But I almost hold him so responsible, and he knew everything about like Shakespeare, and he was so knowledgeable about everything, and he was also extremely patient and intelligent. I mean, for him to remember my dad, it's
Yeah.
crazy. But like these kind of teachers leaves like such a good impact on you, like from grade school.
Yeah.
Like the ones that like had like this great personality and understood you, and like and the fact that they can remember you, and like it's great.
Yeah.
But grade 1, Miss Ducharme, I hope you're in hell.
Oh.
So one time,
Lord.
and dude, like you watch Recess as a kid and you see Miss Finster, you're like, this is accurate. Like there's
Yeah.
teachers out there that are like this.
Our third grade hall monitor was identical to Miss Finster.
Miss Ducharme was literally such a grouch, and she was so impatient and so cranky. She was like this old, heavyweight woman that just had no patience and was so like, yeah. There was this one time where, and like my mom and Veronica knows about this, but I don't share it that much actually.
Oh, okay.
But we were all forced to like, not forced, we're all like, taught to like, do like not times tables, like just regular math and those hard textbooks that we used to be given, right?
Yeah.
And we're allowed to write in them. So the whole class had to like write out all these equations and all that, answer them, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly the specifics, but I remembered that we had to go up to the desk afterwards and she checks it over and she grades it, right?
Yeah.
Right away. We go one by one. I was the very last person to finish my equations.
Oh.
And she kept but no. She kept correcting me, like, go back to your seat and do it right, kind of thing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, no kidding. Yeah. And I kept doing it. And
was
I
it
got
one
to
of those, you don't fail, but we'll give you as many chances as you needed to get the right answer kind of a thing?
And her patience of me trying to understand it. And you know what? There was probably a side of me that just wanted it done just to get done, because that was grade 1. It's like, okay, just get the work out of the way, whatever. This is math, right? Like, but there was a moment that I remembered after the 3 or 4 times going back to my seat and taking so much time out of the class, because she wanted to wait till all of us were done in order to move on to whatever subject's next. So I was technically holding up the class, right? And the 4th time I sat down, I actually like, okay, I'm gonna try to understand it, and I think I'm sure. But I brought it back nicely.
Why am I getting Bart I'm not saying you failed, but why am I getting Bart gets an F vibes from this?
Oh,
like, you know what I'm talking about?
Mine is the dark version of Bart gets an F.
Oh.
So I brought the textbook back to her after I thought I had it right.
Oh. Yeah.
And she looks at it, and I can't remember exactly what she said because she said it under her breath, but she had this like this condescending, like passive voice, like going, like da 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 da. She took the textbook and threw it back at me, at my face, and yelled, "Get out of my sight!" And my book fell to the ground. The whole class, you can hear like a pin drop. And I just pick up the book and I just like put it back on the desk, and I just like, I'm on the verge of like crying almost. And I told my mom about it. And I literally saw, I'm not kidding, like it's like a scene out of American Werewolf in London. My mom transformed into a mama bear.
Oh.
She went to that school and she chewed out her ass.
Jeez,
And
thank you. Thank you, Cody's mom.
My mom never told me about this story until I was a little bit older, though.
Oh, yeah?
But I just have to say, Mrs. Ducharme, I hope Satan is just fucking doing the worst shit to you right now, because you gave me the most traumatizing grade school experience of my life, and how dare you fucking do that to me.
Fuck you, Miss Ducharme.
Fuck her. Honestly, fuck her. And I hate
you mess with my boy, you mess with me.
And I hated getting in trouble, dude. That was the most intimidating thing. I always
Lord.
Here, let me ask you, dude, how many times do you ever get in detention?
Individually, there's this is gonna take.
This is a good subject. This is a good subject. Have you ever got detention?
Yes.
And also, let me ask you: did you even realize you were doing something wrong in the act?
Okay, this is yeah.
Yeah?
No. Okay. Most of the time, yes.
Because sometimes it was like unintentional. Like, what? I got in trouble? I was just horsing around. I wasn't doing anything.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
okay, I'll tell you.
I wasn't bullying. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
You want to hear a traumatizing story?
Sure. I mean, we've been so fucking...
We're supposed to, be enlightening the kids and getting them excited to go back to school.
Dude, okay,
no,
full disclosure, we don't know how the school system is now, but, like, this was back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s, we were getting in trouble in school.
I thought you were like, we were getting textbooks thrown at a face.
What year did... Well, hold up.
This is Duchamp, so that was grade 1. That would have been 97 going into 98, probably.
My grade 1 was 98 and 90 going into 99, and you were a year younger than me, so you would have been 99 going into 2000.
For grade 1?
For grade 1, yes.
Yeah, so, okay, around that night, okay. So, you're right, yeah, I started grade school in 97 to 98. You're right, yeah, sorry.
So, back to my story. So,
go ahead.
In 6th grade, I had this one friend who, he was rowdy, and he would, like to start, schoolyard scuffles. Not malicious, like, fights, like something you'd see in West Side Story of the Outsiders, but...
So he never targeted you individually?
Oh, he targeted me individually.
But did you think, okay, he's doing this to everybody?
He's doing this to everyone. It's like, we're gonna...
Yeah.
Eventually,
so you're not singled out.
I once joined him in starting some schoolyard scuffles. Josh was in a couple of these, but... We kind of had a soft spot for Josh. We didn't, like, ever hurt him. If we ever did get hurt, like, it would get really, like... heated, like, so, but we eventually resolved it, as kids even. So eventually, one of my younger brother was honestly one of the kids who we would pick on for a little scuffle, not like a big fight or anything, but eventually we caught my brother on a really bad day, and my buddy, does most of the scuffling with him. Eventually, I guess I tapped out at some point, but my brother loses it on him, and my brother wails on my friend, and my friend fights back. The fight gets pretty intense. My friend gets punched in the back of the head, knocking out his glasses. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is insane. And then so my brother runs to those not hall monitors, but the hall monitors of the playground essentially. And then
the older kids that are kind of assigned to, like,
not older kids, like
I remember there was older kids. You know what? Maybe they were young enough to look like they were.
They were also.
They weren't students.
They were teachers. No, this teacher
Sure.
actually saw the fight from a distance and was like, "Yeah, all three of you go to the principal's office." And at this point in the school year, my scuffle buddy, that's what we're going to call him.
Yep.
My scuffle buddy, not Josh. My scuffle buddy would. We had gotten into some other scuffles that had turned into a couple of fights before us, and as a result of both, and the fights were actually between he and I, believe it or not. So, as a result of those fights, the principal was getting a sense of what we were doing, and her punishments became, okay, warning, then it was, you're off the schoolyard for 2 weeks, 2 weeks detention, every recess for 2 weeks, come to my office. Mm-hmm. And... this was after our 2-week detention stint, my scuffle buddy and I. And I'm like, if this principal hears that we got into another fight, we could get suspended, like legitimately sent home. Like, this is bad. I kind of prayed that the principal wasn't in and that we'd have to talk to the vice principal. Mm-hmm. And I got my wish, but I regret that because the vice principal was worse.
So was that one really traumatic time?
Here's why it was traumatic.
And did you never get in trouble ever again after that?
Yes, I never got in trouble after again.
What grade was that?
Grade 6.
Okay, that's not bad.
So
you had a streak?
No, yeah, the streak ended in grade 6.
Well, you technically had a good streak, dude. I had in the same day the first big traumatizing detention was grade 2.
Oh yeah.
And in the same day I got in trouble. For 2 separate things.
Wow.
So I'm in the hallway, and dude, all these stories I'm about to tell you are basically just horsing around with friends where we're friends. There was no bullying. Horsing around, pushing, shoving, whatever, and then we get caught by some out of date teacher that just thinks, oh, they're fighting.
A boomer.
Yeah, a boomer at that time, technically. I don't
They
know,
were
I guess.
boomers.
Pre-boomers.
No. Gen Z didn't exist yet.
Gen Z didn't. Well,
Gen Z was just being born.
And also, like, Generation X was too young to sort of be.
No.
Like, she was in this particular teacher that I'm talking about that caught us. Another kind of Fincher-esque teacher.
They would have been a boomer.
She was sure. So she sends us to the principal's office. We get like detention. The teacher
was the principal. Like, what did the principal say to you?
I can't even remember, to be honest. It was so long ago. But later on that day, right after school, like as we're all going to like the bus or getting picked up, whatever, horsing around with another friend, we go through. You know how some like classrooms had like you go into the classroom and then they have like a back coat room where you hang up all your like backpacks and coats and all that, and then it leads out to another exit.
My kindergarten class had that.
I was chasing him down the hallway. We raced into that classroom and he circled around and went through that other room, whatever, and we get caught by a teacher. Like, what are you doing? You're racing around. You're not supposed to be here. Go to the office. And then, you want to ask me, hey, what did your principal say to you? I remember what my principal said to me, because this was the same day, a couple hours later, he goes, hey, it's you again. And I felt like, I'm a criminal. Cody is a criminal. I'm traumatized. Like,
he sounds like he was being nice about it.
And
it sounded like he was being like,
but the
hey,
punishment.
It's you again.
But the punishment was so like nothing.
Yeah.
That I took it such a big deal and it was so traumatizing. My mom had to come into the school because she was ready to she was ready to pick me up because it was right at the tail end of school, right? Like we're all like getting picked up. She was like, "Why is he taking so long?" She went inside. And she was just trying to clear the air, like, oh, he didn't mean it, whatever. Like, everything was fine. She knew that I wasn't meaning anything bad.
Right, yeah.
The whole situations and all that. But I've been accused of something. I got in trouble for something that I did not do. I got accused for something I did not do.
Oh, that sucks.
All of a sudden, I have this kid coming up to me. His name was Nathan. I'm not going to say his name. He's like, Cody, you have to go to the office. I go to the office, and I remember asking, like, what's the problem? What seems to be the problem? And, like, some kids were, like, older there. They're like, did you punch him? And I'm like, no. And they're like, I remember staying behind after school, and I got like detention. We had to stand up against the wall in the courtyard for the JKs. Just stand there. We're not allowed to like move or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that was traumatizing, and like just. But then
you didn't punch someone, but someone thought you did.
Someone accused me for punching someone in the face, and it might have been a situation where I turned faster, I hit him. Realize I hit him.
Wouldn't the kid who got hit know it wasn't you intentionally?
No, it was just some probably whiny kid that's just like that's what. Looking back on it, we're just whiny kids, but this kid took it really too far because I really have no recollection of punching a kid intentionally in the face ever, ever. So that was grade 1. Sorry. That was grade 2.
I may have slapped the kid in the face, not punch, but just
just accidentally.
Yeah.
So that was grade 2.
Not accidentally on my end, but
that was grade 2. Then I think in grade 4. So this was all in the first grade school I went to. I think it was another situation where we're just in the backfield and we're like doing like a Braveheart charging up against this warfare thing of just like tackling or whatever. All fun stuff. Whatever. We're not bullying. Get caught by a teacher. We had to stay behind, like past school, and in the they all had to call our parents and say they have to stay here for a half an hour, which felt like 4 hours as a kid.
It does.
And we had to sit. We had to sit there after school, and one of those.
You remember
those outside portables?
Oh,
we had to go in one of those. I had 2 classes where I was in outside portables. We had to stay there, and when they didn't have the AC on, I remembered it was so fucking hot.
Now,
about like putting us in the
school
sauna.
You've seen Mean Girls, I assume, right?
Of course.
Now, do you remember when they? Well, in fact, when they dragged?
Dude. In fact, when you told me that your teacher was like, never in my years have I seen such behavior. I thought of like
the principal from Mean Girls. When they drag all the girls in the gymnasium. Yeah. No, the line I was thinking of from Mean Girls was like, I don't care how long it takes. I will keep you girls here all night. We can't keep them past 4. I will keep you here till 4.
I was this close to canceling your prom, but we paid the DJ, so I can't do that or something like that. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So essentially, where's I going with this? Yeah. So that I was just gonna say like with Mean Girls, like you said, you got to stay till 4. You get off at 3:15 or 2:50 or whatever it was. Our dismissal time was 3:15.
Sorry to bring that up. But that's so funny that school literally lasted only like 6-7 hours.
Yeah, you're there at 9. You're out at 3.
Yeah, like it wasn't even that long.
It felt like it feels like an 8-hour workday, but it's not.
But that's the thing. This is one thing I really want to bring up. This is a change of subject. Is that like That's a lot of information in one day. And
6 hours.
especially if you're impressionable and if you're like not ready to absorb a particular type of information or a school subject that particular day, dude, you're gonna like drift off in your own world in your own head, and that happened a lot in grade school.
And
like,
what I hate about the conventional education system, even back when we were in school,
yeah,
it doesn't allow it's you are designed to process so much in one day, but the human mind just can't do that.
It can't.
Like,
dude,
you're expected to pay attention to 10 different things when really the human mind can only process 2 of those, maybe at best.
And it's a lot, dude. You're jumping from like all these subjects, like English. Like it's actually way more than high school.
Okay,
it's way more than high school.
Schools, the conventional schooling in North America is designed to condition you to work in a factory. It's not it's not designed for any. It's designed so that you'll be a worker bee and not like, you know, a creative, insightful member of society.
My thought was it just because we're getting blasted with all these subjects and information all at once, is that the point is when we get to the point where we're crossing into high school, we're gonna start to realize, oh, okay, this piece of information is going to be good for me outside of school. I'm basing on that because we heard that being taught in grade school.
Yeah.
So now it's going to make me make decisions, and I'm like, okay, now that I'm getting little bits of information and there's things that I'm assigned to, how am I going to like get into something outside of high school? Then I choose to follow some sort of like, you know, taking a course like into develop some sort of career or something like that. Like I get it, but it has a lot of repercussions where there's sometimes like I forget how to spell simple words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like it's weird.
Yeah.
Like I forget simple shit sometimes, and I'm like, well, and I'll be like I can't. I'm really shit at math.
Oh, you and me both,
dude. I am shit at math. I am so bad. But like some subjects that I'm pretty good at even today. Like I remember liking, especially more in high school, and I know we'll get to high school, was like English, history, and actually I was about to say one class, but I'll save that for high school actually. But what were the subjects you kind of like got into?
For very quickly, your story about, you know, absorbing pieces of information. I remember every Remembrance Day we had an assembly where we were taught the horrors of World War II, not the heroics, the horrors.
Yeah.
And that's why after September 11th and when America invaded Iraq a year later, I felt genuinely worried about wars.
You were in grade 3.
I was in grade
2.
When 9/11 happened, I was in grade 4.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
When 9/11 happened,
Yeah.
I was in grade 4. You would have been in grade 3.
That's right. Yeah.
And I remember that just being a scary day, man. Like
No
one could absorb. Okay.
Dude, every channel on cable. Like I went to my nana's sometimes on my lunch breaks and just had lunch there because I was so close.
So you saw it at lunchtime,
dude? No, well, it was the aftermath. Every channel on basic cable was the news.
It was.
Like I had this vivid memory.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a weird Mandela effect. Again, I don't like.
Where you're just channel surfing and everything is the same.
I don't. It felt like that, but I vividly remember every channel was smoke and the towers. It was strange.
I remember the first image I remember is smoke, the towers, and then the plane crashing into the second.
Oh man!
So
my mom said she witnessed the second tower get hit. Watching the news
in
live.
Yeah.
She said she saw the second.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, she said she saw the second one.
I did.
But it was from an angle where like you didn't really see the impact, anyways. So,
well, because for the average viewer, they're watching the tower and then you see the plane. You're like, that plane's flying a little. Oh my god! Whoa!
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so on 9/11, so
ahead.
I brought up Remembrance Day initially, but then that got me off on a tangent about 9/11.
Yeah.
I remember we didn't even know what happened until lunchtime, and then some schools brought in TVs to play the news. We didn't have that.
My teacher was pretty rattled up. I remember that.
Yeah. So my teacher, Miss Garland, she kept calm, like, and I was actually, I remember asking, not knowing having seen no images. Miss Garland just said, "Guys, we need to tell you this. You guys are okay, but some planes crashed in New York City, and we don't know why. All we know is that they've closed airports." And then I remember asking, "Miss Garland, what kind of planes?" Because I had no context for what had happened.
Oh, damn.
So I'm like, "What kind of planes?" And then I go home and I don't understand why I'm seeing a plane fly into a building. And then I learned the word hijack that day. And then my dad, who was extremely rattled by the day's events, came and said, there's going to be a war. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, does that mean I'm going to war? Are you going to get drafted into the army? Yeah, it felt like Mulan. Remember the sheer terror when Mulan, sees the conscriptors come to her village and say the family. It's like, is that gonna happen? Like,
yeah, totally.
So that's why every Remembrance Day. I remember my first Remembrance Day in grade 1. We had a veteran, Mr. Pasternak, who fought in the war.
Oh wow.
He was on a B-17. He was describing what it was. I loved planes, but when he was describing what it was like to be in battle in a B-17, it sounded horrifying.
My mom had this resident who once said that he was a Spitfire during the World War II.
Ah, beautiful plane.
And he had it was one of the few times where I'm like, I feel like I want to adapt that into a movie once. Like, this was like me as a kid thinking ambitiously. Like,
okay,
I wanted to
stop.
Yeah.
We'll talk after.
All right.
We're gonna put the filmmakers off button, but we'll talk after.
Sure, but yeah. No, it's pretty cool.
Go on,
like,
yeah, sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Right.
So you're saying war was kind of like, history class was sort of like a subject with you that struck a chord?
History didn't come to the later grades, and even that history we didn't cover World War II until high school. So. But we learned about the Holocaust at Remembrance Day.
And this is in grade school.
In grade school, we learned about the Holocaust in Remembrance Day, and we didn't learn about World War II in depth until high school.
I see.
But World War II, we heard about it every Remembrance Day because we learned about how the Nazis attacked Poland, and that started the whole thing. But beyond that, we learned about... And fun fact, Josh, in our 8th grade Remembrance Day assembly... they played a dance routine to the Bryan Adams song Remembrance Day. Have you heard that song?
I don't think
It's off the album Into the Fire, another musical recommendation.
Okay.
Remembrance Day. It's a great song.
How'd you feel about science class?
Science class was fun. Believe it or not...
Only when they played Bill Nye the Science Guy. No, I'm joking. But that was a highlight.
I remember in 8th grade... we got to do some light chemistry. My science class, I had 2 science classes in high school, and one of them was utter garbage because the teacher was too passive.
Yeah.
I love this teacher, but she was too passive, and the kids were rowdy. No one learned a goddamn thing. We did the homework, we passed the exam, but
I don't remember much experiences about science class. It's just something that it's a subject that I always carried throughout both grade school and high school. But I will say, a way that my mom, very similar to Arthur actually. There's my reference. But like how
back to Arthur.
How he was able to try to figure out how to spell aardvark is that he created some sort of tune.
AARDVARK.
So how I learned how to spell science for one spelling bee was SCINCE. SCINCE.
I'm gonna be humming that all week.
SCINCE. My mom and I had we do like a hand movement.
SCINCE.
And it stuck, and then I passed.
Do you remember do you know when we learned about... Okay, the first time we ever studied a world map was in grade 2, and I remember having a geography quiz. Now, at the same time...
Geography. Holy shit, I forgot about that one.
At the same time, my dad got me an Atlas program.
I forgot about the world.
My dad got me. My dad got me an Atlas CD-ROM computer program. Remember CD-ROM computer programs that you actually had to plug? Steam didn't exist. You want to play a game? You're buying the CD and you're downloading that shit, and it's either gonna destroy your computer or it's gonna benefit your computer.
Dude, you're 1 year ahead of me, and you already had an Atlas on a CD-ROM. We still had the physical books.
No, my dad. No, we did. We had physical books, but at home, my dad went to Future Shop. Remember Future Shop?
I do. Now it's a Radio Shack.
My dad. This was
no, not Radio Shack. Sorry.
The Source.
No, Radio Shack is now the Source.
Yeah.
So, Future Shop is just bought up by Best Buy. I guess. I don't know.
This was the Future Shop. Now it's the Radio Shack. You got it. You got it. Welcome to Canada. No, you got it, You got it, So, anyways, so back to where was I going with this?
You're saying geography. The Atlas. Yeah.
I learned the compass directions by a rhyme: north, south, east, west.
Oh,
never eat
sour watermelon.
No, it was never eat shredded wheat for me.
Oh, it's funny.
But it was a rhyme.
You know, what if it's I don't know if it's a Toronto Richmond Hill thing, but like Veronica said the same thing. She was like, never eat sour watermelon. Why not? That's
Where
good.
did Veronica grow up in
GTA? Like here,
okay.
yeah, right. Like she's mostly in Scarborough, but yeah.
Oh, the bro.
Kind of beaches, yeah. But yeah.
Oh my god.
So maybe it's a Toronto thing.
Wait. Oh my god.
What?
There is. What year was? How old's Veronica again?
She's my age.
Okay, so my ex was a 91 baby, and your fiance is a 93 baby.
Yeah.
There's did Veronica go to college? High school or elementary school in Guildwood?
No.
That's a part of like the south.
No.
The southeast end of Scarborough.
Nope.
My ex went to elementary school and high school in Guildwood. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, she would go there.
But yeah, so I'm like, did our partners know each other?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
it's
Lord.
fine.
Can you imagine?
Small world.
Well,
Well, dude, that happens a lot in Windsor, Essex.
Yeah.
Everybody knows each other. You can't talk shit about somebody else because they'll be like, "That was my friend you speak of."
Oh Lord. See, I didn't. I never knew what that was like because I didn't go to school.
You're lucky. Town. Well, you have millions of people around you. That makes sense.
But yeah, so anyway, I remember. Thanks to my dad getting me an Atlas CD-ROM, I crushed my geography exam and I got like an A+.
Good.
Remember when they were A pluses and then it became percentages?
I was a B, C boy growing up.
Same here.
B's and C's.
I was
occasionally
A's and B's.
You know what's funny? I was B and C's.
Yeah.
And occasionally would get an A, and then occasionally would get a D. I was so in the middle.
Did I ever get a D? No.
I was so in the middle. I never failed. I never failed anything ever. The only thing I ever failed, and I know I'll jump to it just a little bit, but in high school, the literacy test, failed it once.
You did?
Yeah, I failed it once. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't know what it was like to fail the literacy. I mean, what happens when you fail the literacy test? Because
you know what it is?
What is it?
You basically So that was in grade
10.
10 was it?
Yeah,
was
the literacy test is in grade 10.
Okay.
Now, did you do this thing called EQAO?
I can't remember. But
EQAO was this bizarre in grades 3, 6, and 9. You do this very bizarre EQAO. It's like formulaic standardized testing where everyone does it at once and you're timed. It's so weird.
But when you fail the literacy test, what happens is that you basically the grade right afterwards.
You have to take a mandatory.
Your English class converts to just basically going back to the roots of everything. So now,
do you know what that reminds me of? That's like in Big Fat Liar when he goes to say, "Today's students, we are going to learn about the semicolon."
Yeah.
The semicolon.
Yeah. No, but what I was saying was that like probably I just failed probably like a point or two. Yeah. Like I got a 59 or whatever it is. And now I have to be stuck with the people that probably got like 30s and all that. Yeah, it's exactly what we said. The fucking Big Fat Liar thing. I'm stuck with the idiots.
Oh.
Or it's like that one. It was from The Simpsons. It's like when they're talking about Nelson. Marge was talking about Nelson, and this bully Nelson, is he kind of around the rough side? He's like, Bart's like, yeah, he's pretty dumb. It's like, oh, I bet he doesn't do well in his studies, does he?
Is this in Bart the General?
Yeah, and Bart's like, yeah, he's pretty dumb. He's in all the special classes that I'm in. I love it. But no. Yeah, you just basically, your English class converts to just basically going back to the roots. That's the only thing I ever failed at. But between that, I was a BC kind of kid.
Yeah?
Like, that's my grades. It was just BCs. Occasionally A's, occasionally D's.
I was A, B, occasional C.
Yeah. It was.
Josh was A's and the occasional B.
Now, did you ever, like, win any prizes or play any sports?
Like, very good question. Other than being on the cross country team, I did no. In elementary school and high school, I was on my school's cross country team for 4 years in a row. And then
it was almost mandatory at one point for all of us to do like some sort of like track and field kind of thing or like Olympics.
Our school had a track and field day, but if any of the kids did well, they went to a regional competition.
Oh, my hamstring would pull all the time when I did the 100-meter dash.
Oh yeah.
Like my hamstring literally, I have bad hamstrings sometimes. I just didn't stretch that much growing up, and like kind of I very very rarely it happens to me even today. My hamstring just pulls.
Yeah.
But eat potassium, kids.
Yes.
Eat some bananas.
Yeah.
So you were in track and field. So like any like kind of sports or any kind of
I did track and field, and in my last year of high school, I auditioned for the ultimate frisbee team.
Nice.
I didn't do. I went to not auditions. I'm too used to the art world, man. Tryouts.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's only a couple spots available, so we're going to have tryouts. Make
Well,
it fast.
I came from a generation where everybody was a winner and whatever you do, so I don't.
Oh, participation trophies!
I don't know if I ever technically won anything because everybody's a winner where I
Yeah.
came from. Fucking hell, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do remember being kind of like a sentimental nice thing is that a girl in my second grade school, her name was Robin, had a crush on her for a long time, and I was a really quiet new kid, didn't really have that many friends in my second grade school. I had some in my first grade school that I went to that some friends carried over that I ended up still hanging out with even though I moved.
Yeah.
But throughout 5 to 8, dude, no, barely any friends up until the last minute.
Yeah.
And I kind of hung out with a gang that they kind of like, I was kind of their whipping boy. Won't get into that.
I hate that.
Won't get into that.
I like it goes back to the story of my scuffle buddy. I was his whipping boy from time to time.
But there was this girl Robin who I had like a super crush on. She was like part of like technically the popular girls. She was one of those, you know. And
oh man, I'll get into. I may have to rehash something from the love episode, but I'll get to that. That for me came in high school.
But it spread. The rumor spread that I liked her,
yes.
and when I thought like, oh no, like my fucking life is about to go to hell. Like this is grade 8, right? Like everyone's gonna hate this. This was the same time Valentine's Day was happening. And guess what happened?
Did she choose you?
No, what actually happened was we played this game in class where like you were given like a heart that's around like a string that you wear around your neck like a necklace. And the idea is that like throughout the day you're gonna like write your name down on it and give it to the person that you choose to be a Valentine, right?
Yeah.
And Robin kind of got a lot. And then what you can do is that you can actually like give the hearts to other people.
She was cute,
like,
right?
Like say I had 3. Oh, dude, yeah, she was like so cute back then. There was like a rule where it's like, hey, you know, if you got 3, you can obviously give it to like your friend or whatever. You don't care about the name. So all of a sudden, because like everyone knew about this like rumor, I ended up with everybody's fucking like it was half and half. Whoever got the winner.
Oh.
Robin and I got the hearts. Even though there was this cute little rumor and we both knew about it that like, oh, Cody likes Robin and like all that. Like we took a photo with the teacher and it was just all like kind of like
this sounds it's weird.
It's kind of weird and it's
now
kind of
like
like
no like it's like
yeah
in our progressive society like it's I'm sure it was cute back then, but in the progressive world we live in today, like that's forcing 2 heterosexual kids like
it's yeah whatever.
It's like it's like why do they force like you know young boys and girls romance, but then 2 boys that like each other or 2 girls that like each other? No, forbidden. You can't learn about that.
Well, the town that I came from is very like you know
say no more.
Small town.
Say no more. Say no more.
That's why I had a little bit of city blood in me with Windsor when I moved out, like a little bit outside to that second grade school. It's like I had a little bit of city life, but when I moved to Toronto, it was almost poetic. But I'll talk about Toronto in my next podcast, my beautiful audience.
Okay, great.
But that's really the only thing that I mean, I technically didn't win it. It's not like a Nobel Prize or anything like that, like or a trophy or whatever.
It's
but
popular vote.
It's like almost like a nice popular vote, and it was around the time that I wasn't getting enough attention, you know, and you know whatever. But
watch this, his beautiful audience. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. Yeah.
All right, let's put a cap on grade school. Let's go to high school.
I was gonna go to class before I got high. I could have cheated and I could have passed, but I was high. I'm taking it next semester, and I know why.
So, I mean, we can get into so much subjects about, like, high school, but, like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, of 10 being, like, you loved it, and 1 being you hated it, how would you rate grade 9?
5.
5? How about grade 10?
6.
6? Okay, a little bit better. 11?
7.
Okay, it's getting a little bit better. 12?
3.
Oh, it ended bad. Ah, shit.
And ask me again, 12.
Oh, because you took it again. 12?
Yeah, I took what's called... Okay, just for the...
Oh, yeah, because, like, for some electives...
Josh and I took a 5th year.
Yeah, you took... It's just, yeah, there's some
It
people
wasn't
I
a
knew
victory
that
lap.
took it.
I literally... Okay, because of my educational plan...
so it wasn't... It wasn't 13.
It wasn't 13.
Wow.
But you can take grade 12 twice. Put it this way. It's not mandatory, but you can do grade 12 again if it's called a victory lap. If you graduate and then you can graduate and then go back to the same high school to do whatever classes you want. It's called a victory lap.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I took a 5th year of high school because I had to. Because of my education plan, I was on special needs. I didn't have enough credits to graduate. I could have stayed one semester and gotten my credits.
I think it's like, isn't it you need like 30?
You need 30.
Credits?
You need 40 to graduate, or it's 30 or 40. I can't remember honestly.
I think it's 30.
It's 30 to graduate and 40 hours of community service.
That's right. Oh, community service.
Now,
like,
what does that mean? Scrubbing toilets at the rec center?
Dude, I like. Some of it was just like, trying to do as much as I can with like odd jobs with like neighbors and all that. But it was just like, what was the class? What were what classifies as that?
They were the guidance department at Thornlea where I went. What was your name of your high school?
Sorry, I was about to say St. John the Baptist. Sorry, St. Anne's High School.
St. Anne's
High School. So I went to all 3 Catholic schools growing up.
Oh, okay.
Which is another thing, like, it's weird to, like, go from, like grade school, whatever, like, my upbringing is, like, I was, I was raised Catholic, right? Like, some of that roots is still with me, like, not as, like, severe anymore. Yeah. But when I went to high school, it was really jarring to go from, like, religion class, learning that we came from God, to going from, like, a science class learning about Darwinism and the evolution of man. And I'm like, and this is where it's, like, I get so torn and, like,
they taught
confused.
that in Catholic school.
Yeah.
They taught evolution in Catholic school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a high school, though.
High school.
Yeah.
Wow.
High school, yeah.
Because it's like, I guess it's kind of like, they give you two, that's noble of them. They give you 2 perspectives and they make you discern. Because you can be religious, but also understand science. It's not one or the other.
But that's what I like about, Lost, the show Lost, that I've now gotten you into, which I'm happy about, is that, like, there's always this sort of, like, theme of, like, there's like, a theme of, like, faith versus reason, with, like, Jack and Locke, just to point that out. We won't go down that road, but, but that's probably why the show struck such a big chord with me, and because it gives you,
it's like is it okay if it's like you can believe in both?
Believe in both. In some ways, there's some ways you can kind of coexist and try to get lost in, like, this
like, it's the last episode. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to say which one, but I am on, for those of you who've seen Lost, the last episode I watched was season 3's
Flashes Before Your Eyes
with Desmond. And
we won't go too much into this, though.
Yeah. Well,
I'll talk about this some other time.
Okay, what I love is that episode perfectly mixes, spirituality and mental anomalies. It mixes religion, spirituality, science, and mental anomalies all at once.
Yeah,
it's so brilliant. Like, and I was transcended by Desmond's experience, like his out of body experience.
Yeah,
and like, just the fact that I don't know where the show's going, but I can't wait to find out.
Oh, dude, it's so. And anyway, sorry. Going back to high school, I remember actually taking a class that was sociology, anthropology, and sociology.
Oh yeah.
And I'm surprised that I ended up with, like, not the best score, but at the time I was like, you know what? At least I took a stab at it.
Yeah.
But here's one thing, dude. I was exempt from French.
So was I.
In grade school and high school.
So was I. Well, in grade school I wasn't exempt, but in high school I was exempt.
Oh, sorry. In high school, I think because my grades were so bad in grade school, then I got exempt in high school. Yeah, no, I hated that, and I wanted to learn about it, but it's so cool, like, just like linguistics and, like, trying to learn 2 languages, but I couldn't differentiate the difference between, and trying to understand, like, word phrases and all that. It was very hard for me.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean that kind of sucks that your experience in high school kind of got.
You didn't ask me how my grade 12 second time was.
Did you? You didn't.
I
how
didn't
was
give
it? So you went from 6, 7, or no, 5, 6, 7, 3, and then
5, maybe a 6.
Okay.
5.
So not really that great. Okay, well that sucks. What were things that you kind of took away from those experiences a bit? Like.
Okay.
From the not so good days.
I'll tell you this. First 3 years of high school, I was in a special needs class, and I felt isolated from the general population. I eventually saw what popularity was like, and I like what it was like to have friends. And I started noticing the kids in my classes away from the special needs class when I would go to like a conventional class that wasn't taught by a special needs teacher. So when I go to those classes, I'd see other kids, like just the general population, the popular kids. And I once took Josh and our friends in room 208 aside, and I said, what if we threw a house party and invited these guys to party with us? Like, what if we just got them all together and we just got some beer and we did it? They didn't want to do it. No. But no, we never got to the party planning phase because it was like no one was on board. They only wanted to party. The sped kids only wanted to party with each other because they felt that they wouldn't be understood by the general population.
Interesting.
And that made me sad because it's like I want to be friends with these guys. I don't want to not. I don't want to not engage with them. They're interesting. I like them. I want to not get to know them. I got to know them in high school just fine. I want to get to know them now. Like,
and it's also this situation where it's a bit like an elephant in the room once you guys have some sort of mutual friends, say.
Yeah.
And you're trying to like see who they are, but you had like this awkward experience with them already.
Oh yeah.
That's happened to me before. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, because, like, I figured, okay, if I tried to blend in with the population, like, not tell anyone that I was special needs or that I had Asperger's. I was like, I'm just a guy. I want to be your friend. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And what I just remember the last 2 years at high school when I decided to not declare out loud that I was a sped kid, I remember those classes. I took some classes that formed like the person I am today. Like I took a Comtech class, I took journalism, and I also took writer's craft in the second grade 12 year.
Nice.
It was all those classes. Other than that, I don't remember anything.
And you know what? That's actually great to hear because it's actually you choose what you want to learn.
Yeah.
Which is something that's just like I try to take value into it, and it goes back to just like, if we're being taught this amount of information so much one day,
yeah,
where's the room for us to decide of like, what do we want to learn instead of what we have to learn?
Yeah.
And that you're kind of like, way of absorbing life and everything. Like, dude, here's a subject that we'd be crazy to gloss over, but because I'm sort of a visual learner and like, experiences take a great toll on me on like how I learn about things.
Yeah.
Field trips.
Please let this be a normal field trip.
With the frizz? No,
with the frizz? No way!
Oh, I was going to say, with Miss Ducharme? Get out of my sight! No. But yeah, dude, field trips. I remember going to a Pioneer Village.
I remember that.
Dude, I can tell you right now, we got to learn how to make candles. We got to learn, what the dunce hat was in classrooms. Like, like,
the dunce hat.
Yeah, like,
That's cruel punishment.
I can go back and remember field trips like that. Like, I remember, like, we had religious retreats. Those were some of the best times we ever had. We actually, like, bonded a lot in religious retreats.
Okay,
we actually,
get this.
Like, we went to...
Overnight trips.
Great Tray. Overnight. Muskoka Woods comes to mind.
We went there in grade 6.
We went there in grade 8 for a... It was weird. We went there for a early end of the year trip, which was very strange. It was early grade 12 for some reason, not the end of grade 12, where it's summertime. We went up there in the fall. Yeah. Dude, there was slush on the ground when we went to Muskoka Woods. We didn't even get to do any swimming, any sort of activities. It was all just like boring archery bullshit. I went to
Muskoka. I went to Muskoka Woods in the winter. That's what the trip was.
Sucked. It sucked horribly.
It did suck. It felt like summer camp in the winter.
Not really too many. I can't really remember. It was all just day trips, really. Like you arrive at school, and that's days you wake up like happy, like yay, no class.
No class, field trip.
Just field trip, just kind of get out, and like you can chat on the bus with your friends and all that.
It
was just a different vibe.
Do you want to know what I remember?
Yeah.
Josh will remember this too. I remember in one day we went to Queen's Park in the morning to learn about the provincial government in grade 5, and then that afternoon we went a couple blocks away to the city's TV building and the Much Music building. We got a tour of the studio.
I went there in high school as a field trip to Much Music, but we didn't do like an overnight or anything like that. We actually went to the States to go to Cedar Point.
You went on a field trip to the States?
Well, I mean, I'm right across from Detroit. But we went to Ohio.
How long did it take you to get through customs?
Not too long. I guess it's like we all have to make sure we all bring parent slips or probably passports at the time. I don't even remember.
At the, no,
like,
around the time there was a time when kids were actually didn't need passports,
Okay.
but now they do.
No, I don't remember it being like too long, or I can't, there was some process how they were able to clear it off, whatever it is. But yeah, we went to Cedar Point. That was the first time ever going to like a theme park, like a roller coaster, the Dragster.
That's across the lake from Lake Erie.
The Millennium Force. Oh my God, I passed out on that altitude going down. Like I passed out front row.
Like
woke up half
from
the way.
the G-force.
G-force. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, from the G-force.
Yeah.
Not the. What did I say?
You said from. I don't remember.
Whatever. From the G-force of going on the Millennium Force front row, passed out right when we hit the ground, and I woke up halfway through the ride still screaming like, it's still happening, fuck.
Yeah.
But the dragster, great experience. That's exhilaratingly great. What are other field trips? Some plays,
Oh yeah.
a lot of plays. Do you remember ATN, the French rapper?
I remember Greg LaRock.
Oh my God, Josh! Please just message me if you're listening to this, Josh. If you know who ATN is, the guy that's like J2ES.
I want to know who this guy was.
It's like he acts like Renee from Aqua combined with like Eminem, but he's like saying a bunch of like rap, but like too like
You know
like,
what?
like J2ES.
I may have heard this guy without even realizing.
J-L-E-2-Y-S. Il a, elle a, vous allez. It was just so funny looking back on it. I remember I popped that on for some friends of mine, and we created like a rave in the apartment. We cranked up the music and we started like flickering the lights on and forth, and we were just like dancing to ATN. And I'm like, guys, we are the only people in the world doing this right now.
Yes.
Just take pride in this right now. What are other ones? Field trips.
Well, I want to talk about my overnight trips. In grade 5, we went to a conservation area called Lake St. George, which was basically like a conservation area retreat. There was a log cabin where we all bunked. There was hikes through the woods, nature stuff, ancient ghost stories, stuff like that. Grade 6 was Muskoka Woods in the dead of winter.
Fucking stupid idea. Why?
Hiking through the woods, we saw some gorgeous like waterfalls that froze in like crystal icicle.
Oh, dude, yeah,
walls.
like, you're gonna get great scenery, but like trying to do activities.
Oh, the activities were bomb.
You gotta choose like
Like,
spring,
it was-
summer, spring even. Like, fuck.
Spring or summer would have been great. Which the next 2 trips were in May and June. The overnight trips in grade 7 and 8. In grade 7, we did something interesting. Wilfrid Laurier University put on a program called Jump, which was all about teaching elementary school kids what life in university is like. We stayed in university dormitoriums, like really low dormitoriums at Laurier for 3 days and 2 nights.
Yeah.
And Josh was with me on this trip. I just remember because the program was called Jump. Guess which song I heard 50 times?
Might as well jump!
Jump!
Might as well jump! That's so funny.
Oh god. So then that was grade 7, and then grade 8 was Ottawa.
Okay, what did you do there?
We went to the Parliament buildings. We actually saw a House of Congress session like in progress.
I actually thought you were gonna say you saw Bonhomme de Neige.
Who's Bonhomme de Neige?
Come on, you're Canadian. You gotta know who Bonhomme de Neige is.
Bonhomme, the snowman.
Yeah, there you go.
Bonhomme de Carnaval.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on.
That
was the times, bro.
He goes to he's a symbol at either Ottawa's Winterlude, winter festivities, or Carnaval in Quebec City.
Well, I thought the Carnival was in Ottawa.
Ottawa has their own thing called Winterlude.
Oh.
And there are pictures of
I never heard of Winterlude.
of Bonhomme there, and
okay, maybe I'm wrong. Okay. So you went to Ottawa
in May of
May.
2006. Okay. I love that trip. Okay, I got to bond with some friends of mine that I knew casually in class, but like by the end of that trip, like we all felt really closer to one another because we had picked we all bunked together in some, ironically enough, university dormitories, and they actually felt like hotels. They were in really good shape. So we had a chartered Coach Canada bus that we drove across from Ottawa and back to Toronto. And I remember we did the Parliament buildings. We did on the first day we did the Parliament buildings. On the second day we did a science museum, and I believe we also went to the art gallery across the river in Hull. Oh my God, so good.
Awesome.
And then on the third day, we were going to go on a tour of the Ottawa River, but it was raining, so we went back to the science museum again. I begged my teachers to, because I was into airplanes. On the east outskirts of Ottawa, there is the aviation museum. Oh my God.
Oh, you must have been on cloud 9, no pun intended.
No, seriously, the science center was cool. I almost bought a scale model of the space shuttle.
Nice.
No, when I was a kid, I loved airplanes, and I loved airplanes, and I loved spaceships. So it's like when you brought...
I was like you, but with boats and ships.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So though, that's why when you knew what a Spitfire was, I'm like, oh, someone who speaks English. Do you remember when we had dinner with Hunter a couple months ago, and he's talking about F-15s and F-4 FAMs and F-14s? I'm like, finally, someone who speaks English. I was stunned. I'm like, I gotta see Top Gun Maverick with this guy. I was stunned that he hadn't seen the first movie.
Yeah, and he still loved it.
Oh,
just as much
has
as
he
everybody.
seen? I hope he's rectified that. Has he seen the first Top Gun?
Since he told me, I'm not sure.
Okay,
but...
Hunter, if you haven't seen the first Top Gun, watch it. It's pretty decent. It's not as good as Maverick, but it's pretty decent. Dude, I love it.
Dude, here, another, because it just reminded me of movies and all that, just on the topic of that. I had a great field trip one time that you'll get a kick out of.
Oh, yeah?
We had a classmate in grade 1 whose mom or dad, whoever it was the manager of the Toys R Us in Windsor. So we took a field trip to Toys R Us. And
that's the field trip of my dreams!
And not only this, dude, this was 1999. And
Star Wars The Phantom Menace would have been everywhere!
Well, actually, no. What it was Tarzan. We got early shipment.
Yes, Tarzan and The Phantom Menace would have been everywhere.
We got an early shipment of Tarzan on VHS at the Toys R Us. We went in the back and had pizza, pop, and we watched Tarzan all in like a long table.
Oh my God!
Kind of like how you're at Chuck E. Cheese with the long table, like
wow.
like literally, it felt like we were at Chuck E. Cheese. We're at, and we actually, in front of the window at a Toys R Us. You know how it's like when you walk in and you get the cart and you're in kind of like that glass place before walking into the electric doors to let you into the store. We were actually drawing out stencils of the characters from Tarzan. So we were drawing out, Tantor and
Turk.
Not Turk.
Jane.
Is Turk the monkey?
Turk's the Rosie O'Donnell ape.
Yep, that's the one. That's the character. Yeah. We did the mom,
Kala.
Kala. Yeah, we did the mom.
Clayton.
We did Kerchak. We did all the characters.
Yeah. We
drew them out with stencils, and then we had to paint them in afterwards on the glass of this Toys R Us.
Yeah.
It was so neat, actually. And it was God. That movie was fucking everywhere. I actually remember when I took Beavers. It's kind of like Scouts around that same time.
So the junior campers from Boy Scouts in the Hood in this instance.
Something.
Did you join that by going on a squishy bender?
No. No. What I was gonna say was when I joined Beavers, when I met the counselors. My mom and I went to their house to kind of sign the paper or whatever, and they were like a couple. They were in charge of this. They were in charge of this this Beaver Scouts kind of thing, and one of them kept me company by playing me on their big speaker stereo home back then in the 90s. They played the fucking soundtrack for Tarzan.
Oh, nice.
Tarzan, just to distract me. So, and I think this is around the time I hadn't even watched the movie all that much, but I was like, fuck me, this movie is everywhere. Yeah. Everybody's talking about Tarzan. God damn it. So I just jumped on it and got it. And
I remember I didn't love Tarzan when I saw it in the theater. It actually scared me a little bit. The fucking Sabor the cheetah.
Oh, that would have been awesome to see in the theater. Fuck.
No, I remember seeing the theater. I just remember because remember I have sensory overload issues. It was loud noises were scary.
That's right.
No, Tarzan. The scene that scared me the most was, remember the scene where Tarzan and Clayton are fighting in the trees, and Tarzan actually grabs Clayton's rifle, and Clayton's like, "Go ahead, shoot me. Be a man." Tarzan makes a gunshot noise with his face, and Clayton thought he was gonna that scared the shit out of me for some reason.
Oh,
and then the way Clayton dies was even crazier.
Oh yeah, it took me years to realize the shadow.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they handled that
Lyle,
well.
when I heard when Lyle told me that, I'm like, he noticed that from the first time I saw it, and he was like, "You've never seen that?" Like, no. Like, wow.
I don't know. Yeah, I never picked up on it too till like later, years later actually.
It's a blink and you miss it kind of a deal.
But to go back, actually, it's one subject I want to bring up from high school.
Yeah.
Is that you know, I was actually like such a crowd hopper in high school. Like it was at a time that like, you know, I was like, you know what, I am not gonna have as a terrible time in high school than I was between the times between 5 and 8.
Yeah.
And luckily, all those people, most of the people that I went to that second high or grade school with, all went to the other high school. So here I am, new world, new people, and like it took me a while. Grade 9, I'd kind of rate it almost like a 6.
Yeah.
It was you know, there's some repercussions trying to get pushed aside some old friends I don't want to be associated with. Grade 10 was officially like I met basically in grade 10 and 11 are basically like all the times that I met all like the friends like I have today.
Nice.
You know, like I met Pat, Kathy, Troy, KJ, like all met them in high school. I'm still close with them. I rate those years probably like I'd say like a 7 for grade 10 and maybe like a grade 8 for grade 11.
Yeah.
But for grade 12, I give it a 7. It was a bit of a step down. I mean, I kind of no, I'd say leaning more towards 6, even though I did more stuff in grade 12 than in grade 9. Like I was doing, you know, the video announcements with KJ, like the weekly movie reviews with KJ. And
do you know
Cody? Like,
do you remember how on our So to Speak episode, I thought it feels like me and Lyle are like variants of each other that from different universes that wound up in one universe.
Yeah.
So it's like because I was a crowd in my last 2 years of high school. I tried the crowd hopper thing. I was
more that in middle of high school. Well, I settled down close to the end because I knew who I wanted to be with.
For me, it was senior year, and I was torn between the popular kids and the creative kids.
Yeah.
And
oh, dude, yeah, it's weird, and there was never drama. Like I don't remember everyone.
Like, our high school had drama.
Well, there was drama, but not me being involved with it. Where it's like, why are you hanging out with those people? We're not friends with them, or vice versa. No. You know, like it was always like they never said anything, or maybe they just didn't know. But like I never talked shit about anybody. I just found everybody kind of fascinating. You know, like I just want to get to know people. It kind of gets me to know myself a bit. You know, like it was just that's kind of all it was. But then in grade 12, totally smoothed out. I knew exactly who I would be like, fuck off, or hey, let's hang out.
Yeah.
That's how I categorize my friends as fuck off, or hey, let's hang out.
Yeah, it's like no, or to quote Half Baked, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you.
Like I don't know if that was like with you with high school, but like, did you find like a niche of like people? Like I don't know, was it kind of like?
Here's some interesting stories. So you know what I'm talking about. The friends that I still have today, like Josh, Brandon, and
everybody,
all those guys, and Jake, and those guys, I met them in grade 9 and 10, but this is the thing. Eventually, after I had that pinnacle conversation with them, it's like, guys, I want us to get to know the general population. I want like sped and not sped, or neurotypical is the word we didn't know at the time, but I want sped and neurotypical to come together and just join forces. If we could understand each other, we could all get along. And they were scared. Like it's like maybe not scared. It's not the right word, but like there was just a lot of nervousness. It's like they were not going to understand us. And I was like, but I want to understand them, so I'm gonna. And I felt bad because like when I started, I didn't even know I could throw a house party on my own until I was in a school. In my last year of high school, I was in a play, like an after hours drama club play. It wasn't like part of a class or anything, but the play was called A Delightful Quarantine, and I got close with the cast members, and some of them were in my grade, a lot of them weren't. But when we needed a cast party, no one knew where the cast party was going to be. So I'm like, Mom, it's not a lot of them. It's going to be like 10 people. Can they all come over? And she said, okay. And like I thought our house was too small for a house party, but once I actually tried it and I realized when teenagers are small, if teenagers were in our apartment, you could probably fit like 10 of them in here, and 5 of them would sit on the couch. Like they're small. So when I realized this, I'm like, wow, I threw a house party, and I feel awesome about that.
Yeah,
And
that happened to me too in grade 10 or 11.
Because I was 18, going on my 19th birthday was in January, and I said, and I was an idiot because I picked a Saturday night during the week exams started and the week exams were finishing for first semester, and I'm like, damn it, like, I should have waited until after to throw a birthday party, because I had a birthday party, anyone who wasn't studying came over, and it actually, this is my regret about that party, because I was like legal drinking age, I could walk into the store, they carded me, and I could say, suck on this, and I take the liquor home, and I did have a BYOB, but I was generous. Like, if I threw a party, it's like, I'll buy extra beer. I just want people to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So, like, my friend, B-Man, that's what we'll call him. Brandon Glass, he's been on this show. Yeah.
I don't think he has.
No, he has. He when we talked about our East Coast
trip,
our East Coast trip.
Sorry, it's my
and by the time this episode's out, we will have been to Alberta and BC and driven through the Rockies. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm so looking forward to this. It's going to be such a good trip.
Awesome.
Okay, so Brandon Glass, he was a party animal in last years of high school, first years of college, and what happened was he, like, peer pressured me essentially into having a house party for my friends and getting as much alcohol as possible and getting as much drunk as possible. He made good on his promise to get me super drunk, because a couple beers and shots of vodka later, like, I was a vodka guzzler. Like, I could do a bunch of shots in one night and get super blitzed.
And I regret it.
No, I regret it too,
yeah,
because
it's awful.
Now it takes a lot for me to do a shot.
It's like it burns. You feel groggy afterwards.
No, vodka to me is about as appealing as cough syrup. No, seriously, I get the same gag reflex.
That's so good.
Yeah, so vodka to me doesn't do it. Hard liquor in general doesn't do it anymore. That being said, if it's a special occasion like a job promotion, bachelor party, engagement, I will do a shot.
Yeah, no, yeah. I relate the same way, where I was the host of a few house parties, and it felt really nice because my parents have a really big backyard. We got the bonfire. We got tons of lawn chairs. Man. It's like, it was perfect opportunity. And my parents were totally on board. They loved the idea of this. Yeah. You know, like, and I feel looking back, it's like, yeah, finally Cody's hanging out with people. Like, it happened in high school, mid-high school.
Yeah.
Felt so great, on top of the world. And I got tired of high school. By the tail end of it, I got tired. Even though I was getting, like, you know, like I said, the movie reviews and, you know, making films or whatever, I felt like, okay, I gotta get out of here. Yeah. I feel like I'm just learning all, like, this stuff again and again, like, all these subjects. Even though I like, you know, like, English, I love learning about stuff. Reading and writing, I love it. About just, like, doing little assignments and just the fact that you're completing all this. I just felt like this, like, I just really want to get out of school. And, like, I'm already making short films at the tail end of high school. Like, I feel like I need to crush into a threshold, get out of there, you know? Like, it just became too much. Like, there's, like, 1,200 people in my high school, and I feel like I'm only, like, gravitating towards just a few now.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not ending off on a bad note of high school, but it's just, like, I really just want to get out into the real world.
Yeah, like you want to shake the dust off your one-horse town and go out and see what's out there. You want to go to the big city.
You're not just going to the big city. It was
you're like Rodney Copperbottom from Robots. You remember that movie?
I never saw Robots.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, no. Lyle and Josh know what I'm talking about.
Okay, but it was kind of interesting where people I was not really, like, say they were an acquaintance, or maybe we weren't probably on, like, good terms, whatever the case might be. Whenever I saw them, when I just took, like, a quick construction course at the college in Windsor, I ended up seeing, like, this is before film school. It was I dropped out, whatever. I was noticing, like, those people, like, acquaintances or people I wasn't, like, are we on good terms, whatever. They were totally nice.
Yeah.
They were totally, like, out in the open and just, like, friendly, waved to me. They were so chill. There was something about just, like, I guess, like, just getting out of high school, like, we just all kind of became, like, all right, we're in the real world, and you know, we're gonna learn, you know, we're gonna, like, you know, get real jobs or follow our ambitions, but, like, there was just something about, like, maybe we're just so, like, just confined by school so much growing up. And I
Yeah.
know like this is like a lot of like love-hate relationships I've been describing throughout the past like hour or so. We'll probably call it soon.
No,
I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we can say, but I think my final thing I want to say is that like if I want to compare high school to grade school is that like I feel like a lot of innocence was part of grade school, but a part of maturing was a lot in high school.
Yeah.
And then in the real world,
For
whatever,
me,
afterwards, it was like I want to hold on to like as much of like both innocence and maturity as possible as I'm learning
Can I
to
be
just
honest?
to just be an adult, because I think the point I want to make is that like we were a lot happier back then in
Yeah.
some ways, and we were a lot more insightful in some ways. And I just feel like as the world is changing as we grow up, and like we're just kind of like learning how to like be a family man or be a husband
Yeah.
or just do something with your aspirations. I feel like the important thing is just to hold on to a little bit of like that foundation that was established in like a grade or part of your life.
Yeah.
Like, dude, 12 years, well, 12, 14,
13, 14.
14 kind of years out of your life of just, going to a place every day, waking up in the morning. What am I going to eat for lunch? What am I going to have for lunch? Who am I going to play with in recess?
Yeah.
And recess was always just a reminder of like, yeah, I'm going to get out there. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, for me,
For
I left elementary school with a sense of innocence. I went from being misunderstood to a misunderstood child to my innocence, just being something I kept close. In high school, my innocence turned to immaturity, and then in film school, college, my immaturity turned to maturity, and the crucibles of basically like the shards of who I would become, all the pieces all came together.
Yeah.
And now I am me.
Here's one quick question, actually.
Yeah.
We'd be fools not to mention this. How was your prom?
Glad you asked. I wound up going to 2 proms. The first time I went,
I mean, we're at the tail end of high school anyway.
the
so
first
this
time
is fitting.
the first time I went to a prom was in my first round of grade 12. I didn't have a date, but I didn't have a date. Actually, no. I both times I asked two different girls in 2 different years to go to the prom with me. One of them said yes, but it didn't. But her parents forbade it because they didn't know my intentions and they didn't want to talk to me. So it's like, okay.
Okay.
I'm still friends with her today, but
A bit of a barrier, but
Yeah,
nothing
and
like
then
too hard. Okay.
in-
Yeah.
the second year, I thought I was on a good enough. Okay, my high school crush, who her best friend knew I liked. It was a weird thing with her best friends. One of them would be really nice to me and just talk to me as a person, and I respected her for that. But so I thought, would you like to go to prom, Michaela? That was her name, and she basically said I was writing a final exam and she was in the same class. Because I was like on good terms with the teacher kept his lips zipped, but I said, "This is for Michaela. Can you give it to her when she leaves?" He kind of knew what I was doing. It was a promposal, and
Okay.
he's like, yes. He didn't say anything. He said yes, and then as soon as Michaela's done writing her exam, he hands her the envelope, and she doesn't read it in front. She steps out and then reads it, and then after I'm done the exam, I go find her, and then she said, "Your note was really." I put a fancy written envelope, and it said prom, and I said the typical crap. I like you. I think you're cool. Do you want to go to prom? And her answer was, "I'm really flattered, but I promised 2 other guys I'd go with them."
Oh my
But
god.
3 is a crowd, apparently.
Yeah, eavesdropping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or no, not eavesdropping. It was really just like the
I would have been the
third-
4th wheel.
The fourth wheel.
No,
yeah.
4th wheel.
Yeah,
in my
no
case.
kidding.
Yeah.
Mine, short and simple. A girl that I was dating at the time that was a bit of a rebound after having a really massive, big first breakup with somebody.
Oh yeah.
She was a bit of a rebound, but she was still nice. I took her to prom. It was fine.
Yeah.
But we went to both 2 separate high schools. My high school was first. Ours was great. We had like a Paris romantic theme there. Everything was nice and rich and great.
Nice.
And then like a week or 2 later, when I went to my girlfriend at the time's her prom, cheap disgusting. Their food sucked. It was so empty. It was
Was
all
it like
carbs.
was it like the
It was-
chaperone prom from SpongeBob, where like a gymnasium and
Meep.
Yeah.
Meep.
me?
No, dude, the portions of food were just so small, and it was all carbs, like it was all noodles or whatever. And eventually, you know what someone did? He ordered $200 worth of McDonald's cheeseburgers.
Didn't Lyle? Was it you or Lyle who told the story? It was one of you.
It might have been me. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It was just like, yeah, like that's all you need to do. They're not gonna like cater to us here, and it was just it was so crappy. Like it was fine. I mean, you go from one prom to another, and it's like same music. I think just the novelty worn off at the end of like my prom that I went to high school with.
Yeah.
And it was fine. The highlight of that night was literally I took a selfie with every fucking person.
That's awesome.
Every fucking person, I just took a selfie with them.
You know, afterwards there are some. I'll show you a photo album after the podcast is done.
Sure.
But I took photos with on prom weekend and at the subsequent prom retreat at Wasaga Beach. Did you guys go to Wasaga Beach or Sauble Beach? You guys were closer to Sauble Beach. Was that like a prom?
We
weekend?
we went to Leamington Beach.
Okay.
Just a few times, but not for prom or anything like that. I'm just
Yeah.
no. We had ours at like the
Okay.
Fogalar and the.
Have you ever been to Wasaga Beach?
No, I
Okay.
haven't actually.
Wasaga
I've been to
Beach-
Leamington
okay.
Beach.
In the
yeah.
summertime, Wasaga Beach is like a crazy party town where all the college and high school seniors go to party and whatever else they can get away with. It's like your you know that those trashy spring break towns in Florida. That's Wasaga every month of the summer, every weekend of the summer.
Yeah. Well, if I had one final thing to say, like I'll hand it to you for sure. Like I want us to say like if you have any advice for anybody going into grade school, if you are listening, and any person going into high school right now, if you're listening, any advice. So for people for grade school, just enjoy your playtime.
Yes.
And if you're gonna cry that it's over, don't, because your playtime is gonna feel like it's gonna last. And when you grow up, you're gonna realize time is gonna go by so fast that you're gonna be like, damn, 2 months of summer vacation was an eternity as a kid.
It was.
You better cherish it. And if you're going into high
You
school,
don't get summers off when you're our age, kids.
unless there's a pandemic. But anyways, but if you're going into high school, anybody out there listening, short and simple, figure out yourself. That's it. And enjoy it. If you're not into your studies, just go along with it.
Okay.
You'll learn. Just live and learn. But most importantly, stay in stool, kids.
Stay in stool?
Did I say stool?
Yeah, stay in stool.
Stay in stool. Stay in poo, kids. Stay in shit, kids. Stay in crap, kids.
Okay.
No. Hey, stay in school, kids.
Okay. Now here's
All
my
right.
advice. So
Yeah,
for
here's
me,
your advice.
if you're going to elementary school, have as much fun as you can. It won't last forever. This is the time where you are at your most innocent and your most impressionable. Don't give in to peer pressure. Be as confident as you must, but kind where you can. And enjoy yourself and have fun.
Well said.
With going to high school, there are days where it will feel like it will be impossible, but always be true to yourself. And don't take it too seriously. It will feel like there are instances where you will feel like you are experiencing the end of the world. Not even close. It'll feel like that at the time, but I promise you, if you make it through high school, you'll be good for the rest of your life.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And stay in school.
Stay in school.
Stay in stool.
That's kind of like a tacked on, self-explanatory.
Stay in stool.
Stay in stool. Okay. Stay in drool.
Dude, Evan, thank you. This was a great conversation.
It was a great conversation.
We peeled back a lot of stuff.
We did,
I think
yeah.
we tapped into everything, really.
Just about.
Yeah.
Wait, except for... Yeah. Oh, wow. We covered a lot.
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. And if we happen to miss out on anything, comment on the bottom and unsubscribe to us.
Unsubscribe?
Yeah, because you're raging at us. Like, why didn't you talk about this? Nah. Thumbs down. Unsubscribe.
Toxic fandom will not be tolerated here at Pop Talk and so to speak.
Yes. And thank you again, my beautiful audience, for listening to this Like, comment, subscribe, listen to our other stuff, and I'll definitely see you on the next one. Class dismissed!